Okay, welcome everybody to this evening's ACY Securities webinar for Forex Trading Live Market Analysis. My name is Duncan Cooper. Thanks very much for attending. Before we get into it, if you can read through the disclaimer, that would be great. If you're on our YouTube live stream, I can't see the chat, but you're more than welcome to watch, or just use the link that I gave in the chat and join us in the room. So please just read through this disclaimer. All right, let's get into it. If you don't know me, I can see a couple of names on there that might be new. So if you don't know me, my name is Duncan Cooper. I'm the Senior Market Strategist and Trading Mentor here at ACY Securities, and I'm a full-time trader. Been trading the Forex market now for more than 15 years, mentoring clients for more than 10. If you want to contact me, my email's on screen there, duncan.cooper@acy.com. Through the week, you can connect with me on our website, acy.com Market News tab, at our YouTube channel, ACY Securities Australia. And you can connect with me on Twitter and LinkedIn if you wish. My personal accounts are there. As well, through the week, I'm providing analysis in our Telegram channel. Now, we want to give a broad invitation to anybody that wants to maybe get access to that. Just send Nathan Bray. His email is just down at the bottom of the screen there, nathan.bray@acy.com. At the moment, you don't need to be a client to get access. So if you've got friends, family that are interested in trading, anybody that might want to get access to some analysis through the week and see what we're doing, then simply send Nathan an email. He will fix you up. As well, if you want to get access to my chart layouts and templates, again, just contact Nathan. He'll fix you up. I'll put his details in the chat right now. As well, if any questions about accounts, account openings, just contact Nathan. What I would give a broad invite out to is if you've got friends that are trading, doesn't matter if they're not account holders with us, if they're trading and they may be interested in knowing some more information about how to trade, just invite them along to the webinars. We're more than happy to have them here. All right, I'm just putting that in the chat. That's Nathan's details. All right, everybody, so let's get into the news coming out at the moment. So it's a bit lighter this week. We just had the RBA cash rate decision this afternoon, 3.1% now. Tomorrow, nothing till 10 a.m., so no US news tonight. 10:30 in the morning, we've got Aussie GDP QQ. Then no US news till Friday, I believe. So getting into the early morning of Thursday, we've got Canadian interest rate decision. And then we do have US news on Friday evening there, the core PPI data. So market will certainly be looking to that news item. But before then, the next real big one is probably the Canadian interest rate decision, only expecting 25 base point rise. Previously, I do correct myself, they're expecting 50 base point rise. I think last time I checked that, it was only 25. So maybe there's been a change there, but I do believe they have been raising it 75 base points over the period. So they maybe are just tightening their rises there. We'll see what comes out. All right, let's get to the charts now. Let's get to the dollar index first of all. And the big question is, are we putting in a bottom here? This is the weekly chart. Let's just go to the monthly chart. We are holding above that double top that was. Okay. So we are in a critical phase of this US dollar being sold off. It's been selling off for 3 months, an inside candle, a large candle last month, then a bit negative still for this month. But we are having a bounce on the weekly. And we're getting just short of that area. I got a fib drawn from this monthly low candle where it was negative, where it rejected the area before breaking through. That's where I'm drawing my fib. Now, I know you might say, well, we should be drawing down from here, but that's not going to tell me anything. So I'm looking at what the market was doing At that point, the market didn't want to move above, put in a low there, and then drove up and through. So I'm looking at that monthly low as a significant low where the market decided to move above. All right, and it's that low there on the weekly. So I'm just monitoring that range, and I can see that we've pulled back to 79. We are reversing at the moment this week. And when we look at the euro dollar inversely, this area, which this is like March 2020, we're actually back up to the same area, but inversely on the euro dollar. So are we bottoming here to move up? Now, the day chart at the moment isn't showing you an uptrend, so that hasn't formed yet. You know, if we do start to move above this failed double bottom, that's going to give a bit more positivity to a move up. But we really need to take out a high, then put in a higher bottom to really get too excited. But we may be starting to put in a bottom there. So, all right, S&P 500. Slav, that's your channel. I don't know if he's on tonight. I haven't seen him on. Yeah, there you go. Yep, he's in the webinar tonight. There's your channel, holding to the top end of that channel. It's also holding at what is monthly resistance here. So a couple of different ways of looking at resistance: a channel top or pure horizontal resistance. So we're running back up to monthly resistance that's holding at the moment. We don't have a downtrend in terms of price action. All right. What I am noticing on a number of pairs, if I go to my other charts, I'm going to flick between both sets of my charts tonight. Just want to look at the MACDs on the day chart. We are crossing down, showing maybe a little bit of negative divergence here. So that's a slightly lower top, whereas price has made a higher top. So that is often a clue that we could be topping. So the S&P 500 could be topping here within this monthly range for the next move down. We still don't have a lower top, lower bottom, but we're in that zone of the 62 to 79. We're at monthly resistance. Are we topping out? All right. So we might be seeing a little bit of a shift. We've been seeing a little bit of shift though before, and another higher bottom comes in on things, and we just continually move up, especially to the pairs to the US dollar. So, but I certainly like the look of the dollar index in terms of where it is here. I mean, if we are going to move up, this is critical now for this to hold. If we start to move below that double top, it is not good for the US dollar. All right. And if we go to the day chart to have a look at the MACD, then you can see the MACDs maybe wanting to cross up. It's maybe showing, don't know if there's any divergence there, but it's certainly running out of momentum and it could well be crossing up. So when you start to see it like flat, lines are narrow, wanting to cross up, that's often a sign that momentum is really finishing to the downside there. So we'll just keep monitoring, see what we see. All right, so I want to go to the euro dollar and go to the monthly chart. So this area here that's March 2020. That's the low, which is the opposite to the top I was just showing in the dollar index. So that low in here, go to the weekly chart, we can still see it. It's this area here. We're fractionally short of that bottom, and we're fractionally short of the top on the dollar index. So it's almost the mirror image, upside down image, isn't it? All right. And we've come into an area up here, which is monthly resistance to short at 106.355, which is that area there. So 106, let's just go to the 4 digits. So it's 106.35. Okay, here's that level. Then we've got a weekly top here that we're fraction short of 2, which is at 106.15. And we've been a fraction short of the daily level. So there's a triple top area here where we're fractionally short. So this long period of consolidation before we move down could be calling the top. We've obviously had a very nice rejection. However, we had a very nice rejection last week, but we still moved up to a fresh high. So for me at the moment, it's a little bit I feel like we're topping out, but it's a little bit dangerous to maybe going short without maybe at the moment seeing a little bit more of a downtrend forming, because what could happen, I'll go back to my other charts, we could simply, there's the day chart, we could simply be just retracing within that range before moving higher. And that range is last week's range. So at the moment, I'm not buying at this high level, but I am not selling until I see a much clearer trend change. All right, because you could be watching this, we could simply pull back to the 62 or the 79. All right, and then get support to move higher. All right, and 103.68, there's an old top over here. That lines up with that 79% level very close to as well. So yes, we could get a decline. Now I might change my mind and have a go at shorting this if I start to see price action looking a little bit weaker on the 4-hour chart, but the 4-hour chart at the moment is still high bottom to a higher top to a higher bottom. And if I just use that fib over the smaller range, even though we sold off yesterday, very nice rejection down, we're in between the 62 and the 79% level. We're sitting on top of this daily top over here at 104.79. So it is still kind of holding to its day chart trend. So if I do see a breakdown of the 4-hour, see how, we've got last month's high here. So we could maybe see over the next 24 hours starting to fail at last month's high here. So we do start to see a 4-hour structure where it's a downtrend, I might look to trade to the downside, but at the moment I'm not seeing that. And this could pop back up today, keep that 4-hour structure in play, 104.79, moving it down to the 15. Here it is, that old daily top. We're sitting there. We were held there twice. Maybe, we're going to move up from that level. So we really need to break below that level. We really need to see some 4-hour downtrend structure forming. Can we move down to a lower bottom and then rally back up to put in a lower top, maybe, if we want to trade to the downside? At the moment, it's all structurally to the upside. So my fib's not 100% drawn in perfectly. All right, there it is. And we may go through 104.79, there's a 79% level down here on the 4-hour range. So, we need to break 104.28. That's Friday's non-farm payroll low, and then start to see a breakdown of the 4-hour chart. I think we want to start, to look to get short. So back to the day there for a moment. Let's go and get rid of that fib. Yesterday had a very lovely rejection at that strong area resistance, but it's still an uptrend. I did think last week when we got a rejection, we were going to start to change trend, but we put in a higher bottom and still moved up and through. So, let the market tell you that we're changing trend. I don't know if we're truly changing trend there quite yet. We'll see how it looks on Thursday, or I can give you an update tomorrow on the Telegram if things start to break down. I mean, of course, you might think that's a final top. If you wanted to take a very aggressive stance, maybe the break of the rejection candle low, stop above the high, that will cost you about 135 pips, but that would be, would have to take out yesterday's high for you to be wrong, and we could be trading all the way back down to the bottom. But I'm just going to start to see the trend maybe break down a little bit before shorting that. Go to the Euro Yen. Now I put this in the Telegram today, and I've got a fib drawn here, which is across last week's range. I'm not using that high up there. I did use that high up there. We're just fractionally short of the 62. And what I'm looking at is, can price might not get there. I wanted price to come up and test this monthly triple top, strong resistance potentially up there for the next move down. So on the 4-hour, I had my fib drawn in across this range of last week from high to low. 79's at 144.09, and that monthly level up there at 144.26. So that's the area I'm watching. And we've been a fraction short. Maybe we have topped, but I'm waiting to see if we can come up to test that area. Once I've defined my area, I like to trade a failure of the area. I don't like it when it gets a fraction short because I always feel like it might still want to go up higher. So at the moment we are trading and failing at, in the 50-minute chart, pretty much 144. Now we may have already failed up there. We might not get another stab up there. So you have to make your decision. Have we failed up there? And Cameron is saying, yeah, this pair's been really respecting the figure over the last couple of weeks. I think last week or the week before, it was like up at 145. I think it was last week it failed at 145 2 or 3 times. Starting now maybe to fail at 144. So through today, we could come up for another stab up there. We could see like a little bit of trading just fractionally above 144 and then fail. Or you know what, we could have already failed. So what is your setup to get in? It's certainly selling pressure is coming in slightly ahead of that level at the moment. It may revisit that area though over the next 24 hours. So you can still keep watching that level for the best level to get in. Now, if it doesn't go back up there over the course of the next 24 hours as well, you know, today we could finish down below 143. So tomorrow you could be watching 143 for failure, depending on what price does today. So as you're trying to get in on a setup. All right. All right, so look at the pound crosses. Now the pound yen, it's very range bound here. I haven't changed my support and resistance levels for a couple of weeks. At the moment, it's in the middle of the range, so that doesn't excite me one bit. It is respecting day support down here, and is respecting up here weekly, monthly, and daily resistance. If I had a choice of where to trade this pair, it would be up here to sell at this strong level of resistance on a failure, okay? You know, one daily line is not as strong as weekly, monthly, and daily resistance all in a row there. So that would be a great area to watch, whether or not it'll get there. So you can watch that area up there to see where the price gets up to that level and then look for your trigger to get in. It's very range bound at the moment. This, what I thought maybe could be a double top. It's not selling off aggressively. It's not breaking the midpoint of that area here. So I don't know whether that is going to really get some traction to the downside. All right, pound dollar is still moving up. And I'm monitoring, I've been discussing this. This is the whole range for the year. We're in between 50% and 62. 62 is at 124.31. And at the moment, this weekly top is getting false broken at 122.93. My next resistance level is from over here, which is a monthly low, 123.91. So we're just having a bit of selling pressure from yesterday. We're just trading back inside last week's candle. To my other charts, if we just monitor what the day chart is doing, this MACD is not turning over yet. It's clearly higher tops and bottoms at the moment. Really need to see a change. You know, I know we're high up and we're at resistance, and we've almost retraced 62% of the whole trading range for the year. So we are getting into a zone where this could start to go back to the downside, but it isn't showing you lower tops and bottoms at the moment. And in today's trading and yesterday's trading and Friday's trading, the lows of Friday, yesterday, and today at the moment, we're all kind of sitting on top of that old daily resistance level, which is now support at 121.54. Or 121.55 is this weekly low over here. All right. So that's been respecting at the moment. Let's move it to the 4 hour. So as I said, the day's up. It's been up now for quite a while. We're already having another month up. And last month's high is in the same area here. Last month's high is at 121.48. That tops there at 121.54. 121.54 . 121.54 . 121.54 . 121.54. 121.54. 121.54. 121.54. 121.54. 121.54. 121.54. 121.54. 121.54. 121.54. 121.54. 121.54. 121.54. 121.54. 121.54. 121.54. 121.54. 121.54. 121.54. 121.54. 121.54. 121.54. 121.54. 121.54. 121.54. 121.54. 121.54. 121.54. 121.54. 121.54. 121.54. 121.54. 121.54. 121.54. 121.54. 121.54. 121.54. 121.54. 121.54. 121.54. 121.54. 121.54. 121.54. 121.54. 121.54. 121.54. 121.54. 121.54. 121.54. 121.54. 121.54. 121.54. 121.54. 121.54. 121.54. 121.54. 121.54. 121.54. 121.54. 121. weekly support at 121.55, and you can see that's the NFP low down, and we're not wanting to move below this top or that low. So, you know, it's still showing support there. Day chart's up. 4 hour, even it could roll over to a downtrend today, but at the moment, until we break this support level, that's still holding a support. So you need to work out, do you think we're topping out and you want to start to trade to the downside, but wait for a clear signal? Because you can see here, number of 15-minute lows coming in. It would be great today if we could just flush out everything below this low, which was created on Friday from NFP. I did notice that of the rejection candle that we created yesterday, the 79% level does overlap nicely with last week's high. Okay, it's just fractionally above the figure. You can see as we move back below last week's high yesterday, it got capped there to move down. So I'm not unopposed to looking at this area today if we got up there, but I wouldn't be trading on first contact. I would want to see price just to start to hold and fail, because we are still in a day chart uptrend. So this could just come straight up there, blow through there and go to a new high. So I'm very aware of the day trend not wanting to break down at the moment on a number of these pairs. A number of these pairs are at very good levels where we could see a turnover, but there's a sell option there. I'd be less aggressive. I'd wait to see price fail. And in actual fact, at the moment, you know, there's a buy option here. We've got last month's high, which can be support now. Proved that on Friday. You know, until that is clearly negated, if this comes down on false breaks and holds, there's every chance that's moving back up to 123 from this area. All right, so that is clear support there at the moment. So any failure down there, you could see a reversal back up. All right. So what I wanted to say was, like I just said on the euro dollar, or we may see on the pound dollar in terms of a pullback. Go to the 4 hour chart. This is the range. That's the low last week. I'm just going to drag a fib up to the high of the current week. We may move below this top, but we may simply just have a 62% pullback or a 79% pullback before then moving higher once more. All right. Till we can get this day chart trend to break down, we may just see 1 or 2 days down, and then it just resurrects the trend and moves, continues up with the day chart trend. So don't be too aggressive shorting this at the moment. Look for, you know, the safer options are to the upside at the moment till the day trend turns down. If I do see the daily MACD cross down, that will lessen my want or need to look for a long. And that MACD's just crossed down, but I'm not seeing anything there really. So, you know, until the day chart really gets a good cross, then we could still move higher. So you're looking to buy a dip, it would be the safer ploy. We could be just holding on that top, 121.55 to move higher today. All right, let's go to the Aussie yen. Now, I'm going to go back to my other charts, a bit cleaner. We've been rather consolidatory in last month, and we're starting to break down. We had a 79% retracement moving down. We are managing to hold underneath this level of old support, becoming resistance. So also from over here. So in today's trading, this is the 4 hour chart. It's been a bit choppy. It is holding at that resistance level, 92.14. You probably kind of missed your opportunity to get short if you haven't already shorted it. Because if it does come back up to hit 92.14 again, you know, we have a higher bottom here. We haven't actually moved above the last lower top. If we come back up to this area again, there's a high chance we'll move up. So in terms of a level to trade today, there was that area, 92.14. But I feel like if we come up for another test, we'll probably move above it. Just pausing because I've got something in the chat coming in. And Slavia's saying about moving higher and up. Well, yeah, another week hopefully will give us that clear, this week, do we get a clear reversal on the dollar index from supports? And then moving into next week, we might have a clear idea about are we going to get a breakdown or not. All right, so the Aussie yen, there has been an opportunity to trade down from 92.14 today on failure. There's been a swing point break. There's been a trend line break. All right, but I feel like if we get another test, we're probably going to move up. Because as I was just showing you here, the 4-hour higher bottom, and that is a higher top. So what I'm just monitoring the range of last week. That movement down came from this range, which was a 79% rally. So when the market is rather range bound, often it will come back up then again to the next 79% level. So at the moment, let's get my fib perfectly drawn. 93.23 up here. For me, this failure here, if that fib is running and telling me anything about the market at the moment, this is just a 38% level. And the market, if it's having a rally, doesn't normally stop at the 38 level. So I would be looking at the higher levels here at the moment. I would be looking to see what price does up here. 93.23. There's some old lows over here. That one almost pretty much overlaps with the fib level. All right, there's another top here. So there's an old area of support that became resistance there for a bit. So 93.23, I'll be watching that area over the next couple of days. I don't like these short pullbacks. I much prefer 62.79% kind of retracements. Doesn't mean to say that this can't hold here now and just keep moving down, but I'm just looking at what kind of statistically happens, and I try to go with this, the statistics of things. That's a much more high probability level than this level. You should have already been in by now if you want to trade that level. And there's always a possibility here that now that we've moved up today, the central pivot is going to be support intraday for a move higher. Okay. Aussie dollar daily, I did a video on this today. Now, we had a very negative day yesterday, almost took out 3 trading days, almost engulfed 3 trading days. But like all the other pairs I'm talking to you about the US dollar, we are not breaking the trend. As aggressive as it has been, it hasn't been able to get below what is weekly support from over here. It cannot break support yet. So what I would like to see, if this is the topping out area, right, weekly resistance over here, daily resistance here, we've filled an imbalance on the day chart here. That orange bit just there is on the 4-hour chart. If I squash it in, there's an imbalance over here that we were trying to fill yesterday. It's not fully filled. We did false break last week's high, but we're down to support. All right. And if I use the range, let me just get rid of that fib. Yeah, we're just trading back down inside the weekly range. There's still every chance. There's last week's low to last week's high. There's a 79% level. There's every chance we're getting support here, 79% fib of last week's range, to come all the way back up, because we are not breaking the day chart trend down at the moment. Keeps getting on its back foot. We did. If I move this back now to the daily chart, it's that range down the daily, 79% pullback to weekly support. That could now hold to move back up. Or it could come back up at least to retest the 67.97 day resistance, the 6,800 level before the final failure. All right, but I would much prefer to see a break of that swing point. So we have a lower bottom, we rally back up to put in a lower top, because I don't want to get caught in this uptrend that we keep seeing on these pairs to the US dollar. What happens if this uptrend just keeps going up now for the next month? So what I want to see is a clear sign that this uptrend's finished. It's in a great area where it could finish, it's filling that imbalance. We keep failing at 62% level of that weekly, monthly range. But the daily chart trend doesn't want to break down yet. What I have noticed on my other MACD charts is that we are starting to see a little bit of a breakdown on the MACD. All right, we crossed down. So are we going to start to see a breakdown? All right. I would look at the, the 67.97, 6800 level. If we got back up there, if we started to see it fail once more, I would maybe have a go trading a fail at 68. Because any US dollar news that comes out that's going to be negative potentially, we'll definitely see this move back up to 68. All right. Now, we are today, though, in the midst of the interest rate decision and whatever it's been doing since. It is holding below the central pivot point here. So it is actually showing a little bit of weakness because, it is weak if it can't get back up to the central pivot point. So we may see a breakdown below 67. We did close below 67. So maybe over the next 24 hours, we do start to break below support. And maybe we break that day chart support low. All right, but there is that side of the trend at the moment where if I just go to these charts, 79% level at the moment of the weekly range is down here at 66.85, got weekly support at 66.81. So if you're to the upside, I would certainly be watching that level for support today. Support could definitely come in down there at 66.85 down to 66.81. Really need to just have a clear breakthrough there, flush out all the orders, and then hopefully we can put in a lower top. All right, so we covered the Aussie pairs. And Slav, you say you feel like the Aussie can go to 67.80 intraday. If we reverse the fib at the moment from yesterday's rather large rundown, what are you saying? You're saying 67.80. 67.86 is the 62 level of the rundown yesterday. 79 is at 68.14. All right, we've got last month's high at 68.09. I'd much prefer up here to look for a failure. Again, I wouldn't trade on first contact. I'd be waiting to see what price did. I don't know whether we can get up there today because this doesn't look like it wants to get up. There's no news to drive it up there today. So somebody would have to come out and say something unexpected because there's no US dollar news to drive it up there. We do have the GDP figures coming out tomorrow. So maybe we could drive up to there tomorrow. So I wouldn't look at that area of failure, but I wouldn't trade first contact. But I would much prefer to see a clear break of trend on the day chart. Because at the moment, the trend is up on the day chart and it doesn't seemingly want to break on these pairs to the US dollar. So, there's support down there at the moment. If this comes down to support and then just trades all the way back up, and you're not doing anything, it is still in an uptrend at the moment. We might want to think that the dollar index is going to turn back to up, but, maybe the trend will just continue. So be very aware where the trend is. It is up. All right, we covered the Aussie pairs, the Euro pairs, the pound pairs, New Zealand yen. Very much chop, chop, chop at the moment. It's in this weekly resistance area from this weekly top up to that top. So I've got colored in here. And this smaller area up there, that would be the area that I would entertain a trade up there to sell. All right. For 6, whereas this is April, getting towards 8 months now, it does not like it up there. So clearly at the moment, the market, that's where the sellers are. But it is getting very tight, very range bound, not the best price action at all. But if you wanted to trade that pair, that 79% level is from the monthly chart from this major range here. And been very choppy for many, many months. We're at the highs of the monthly candles up here. So yeah, getting short as high up there as you could at the last failure point would be the ideal point up here. 67.20 up to that top up there is at 87.44. That weekly top over there is at 87.33. Does not like it up there one bit. And you know, you could be selling up there. It doesn't have to drop 500 pips to make profit. It's just a very good area of resistance that the market quite clearly is holding to. All right, so that would be the level I'll be watching. New Zealand dollar. Now, like I was showing in the pound, this is the range for the year. Let's just turn this into weekly, just blow it up a bit. All right, so we got a fraction short of the 62% level, 84, I think it's 52. We got up to yesterday. So the number is 64.52 is the fib, and we got up to 64.42, 10 pips shy. All right. So I'm showing you here is that fib is drawn across the whole range for the year. Think of that as a candle that's been formed for the year. Like I show you on the weekly candles and the monthly candles about trading back into the trading range using the fib. It's the same technique. And we have a very good level of resistance in the same area. So we've been a fraction short of that area. Are we failing there? I mean, that could be the last rally point right now before we trade all the way down and break the low of this year, next year, and into the low of next year. All right. I showed you an example on the Aussie dollar that happened this year, the same sort of thing. All right. So this could actually be the next major turning point to then trade down and break this year's low to put in a new low next year. All right, so to the day chart, like all the other pairs to the US dollar, this is still in an uptrend, but like all the other pairs, very heavy rejection yesterday. And what it actually did was there was an imbalance in here on the daily, which has now been filled. There was the imbalance that was left when we moved all the way down here, and it's come up to fill it. All right. And I don't know what the imbalance looks like on the 4-hour chart, but it's worth having a look for all of you that follow the concept of imbalances. There was an imbalance that, well, there was an imbalance in there. Not sure. Yeah, we did. So we've completed the whole imbalance there. All right. All right, so now that we've completed the whole imbalance on the daily and the 4-hour chart, is this the turning point? Like the other pairs, it'd be great to see a lower top, lower bottom formation, or at least a lower top formation. All right. And last week, where are we? This is Tuesday, Monday, Friday, Thursday. Monday, Tuesday last week, we were closing below what is monthly resistance, or what was monthly resistance at 604. And I was starting to think that we were failing here. But now we've come up a lot higher. Is this the failure point now? I mean, we could still keep high tops and bottoms and keep moving up. You know, we need to move below this level of support now, 62.89. Because if we don't, this could come up for another test. I know it's very high up in its move. I don't know if anybody really wants to be buying up at this level, but trend is still holding itself. We need to move below 62.89. We really need to break this support low, have a rally back up point and lower top. Slavia, we could call that a double top on the bigger picture for sure. I would call that a double top. I know it's a fraction short, but yes, I would call that a double top. Really same on the pounder. Let's just head back to the pounder for 1 second. You know, we are failing yesterday up here, and which is on a weekly chart. That is August high. So that in itself is a double top too. All right. So there is the potential for reversals to come to fruition. You know, this could be a double top. What we're seeing on the New Zealand dollar at the moment, I would class that as a double top, though it's a fraction short. So yes, and this is a great level. You know, but we don't have a day chart downtrend structure form yet. No, we don't. And on the 4-hour chart, well, at least on the 4-hour chart, the structure is broken. So what you could monitor, see that area just there, last week's high. We could come back up to test last week's high. We could put in a right shoulder, left shoulder, head, right shoulder, 79% fib at last week's high, which is up there at 64.12. All right, so we could definitely, you know, there's last month's high. See how we're sitting on top of it today. We're getting support at last month's high potentially at the moment. So we could definitely come back up. You know, do we see a retest and failure up there? Do we see a head and shoulder pattern forming? Now, of course, as I say, we're getting some support at last month's high at the moment. Doesn't mean to say that will hold for the rest of the day. Today, we have failed at this old level of support or resistance at 63.52, and we couldn't quite get to the central pivot point. So in terms of intraday strength or weakness, we're seeing weakness because we couldn't get to the central pivot point. So even though we're having a bounce down here at the moment, we might not be able to move above this area today. All right, but you know, a level to watch if we do would most definitely be last week's high. Last week's high is at 64.14, 79% fibs at 64.12, and today's projected high also lines up there. And this intraday kind of imbalance here could all get filled. All right, as you just typed in there, Slava, as I was just drawing it in, that imbalance yesterday could all get filled, which, you know, lines up perfectly with this area here. So that would be a great level. And you can see over here to the left, let's just drop to a 1-hour chart. So that's your 4-hour shoulder, but there's this 1-hour top here. There's another 1-hour top there. All right. There's lots of 1-hour resistance there. All right. That's a great level to see a potential failure up there. All right. So, you know, that's a good area to watch. Lift me saying New Zealand dollar, it appears a double top is likely on 15-minute. What price point are you talking here? Are you talking here or up here? Where is it? Where's price now? Price now is at 63.24. Slav, you're asking what time frame is the imbalance do you consider as a reliable imbalance? Well, if I'm looking at 15-minute price action from one day to the next, this is usually highly reliable. When I see price structure like that, where it just goes down and goes down and goes down, that is often quite reliable. But, you know, if we move to the 4-hour chart, we'll see the same imbalance. The imbalance isn't quite as high, but, you know, there's an imbalance there, and we'll see it on the 1-hour chart. 1 hour, you know, the highest imbalance is on the 15-minute chart. So I think in that area, I would be going with the 15-minute because I'm able to, you know, if you do monitor these very sharp moves down on the 15-minute chart, they often get filled completely. So, you know, I would be saying all the way up to that, all the way up to there. And Olivia may saying, so you're saying, sorry, head and shoulders. You want to say, well, I can see a potential of a head and shoulders on the 4 hour. I don't know about the 15-minute. But on the 4 hour, I definitely see the potential up here for left shoulder, head. We've moved down to a lower bottom, coming back up to that area up there would be head and shoulders. All right, so you can monitor that imbalance. We may not fill it. They don't always get filled, but the trend is still up. Okay, let's not forget where the trend is on the day chart. It is still up, so it is a high chance that the day trend could at least hold to come up to fill that imbalance. There's still, day trend is holding, so there's still buyers wanting to hold that trend at the moment. Okay, so you just have to, in fact, the imbalance, whilst it was there, it has been filled a bit. So now the imbalance is more like there, because this has filled some of that imbalance in here, but that is still not filled just there. Slav, you're saying why there is a gap on the 15-minute chart? Well, just because there is price skipped from there to there. It may just be an inherent price feed because this is a demo account. I don't know if it did that on the live account. If I go to my other screen, in my live account as well, which is a different feed, there's a gap as well. So it just means that the buyers didn't want to create a bid up there. They dropped down, and that's why there's a gap. All right. So that could definitely get filled. The whole imbalance could get filled. So that would be a great level to watch up there. And if you got short up there, we don't know getting short up there is going to work, obviously, but there's the potential for a head and shoulder pattern. But if it does work, and that is the high for the next major decline, that is the best time to get in up there. All right, that would be a big pat on the back in 2 or 3 months' time if that has moved down 1,000 pips or more. So that is a very good level to watch. Whether or not it's going to work when we get there, we won't know. And price may not get there, but it would be a great level to trade at. And those kind of levels where we're seeing 79% retracement level there. If you're just putting your stop, say 10 pips above the high, you're only risking 40 pips with the potential for just to come down and retest the low would be more than 800. So that's 20 to 1. All right. Well, even me saying the second show is at 63.26. Well, here, I don't see a head and shoulder pattern here, so I'm not quite sure what you're looking at. I don't see a head and shoulder there. Are you saying this is a shoulder here to the left over there? No, I don't see a head and shoulder there. Where's the head? Are you saying that this is a shoulder? That's the head. And that's a shoulder? Well, a head and shoulder, though, really needs to be at the end of a run. And as well, a head and shoulder tends to form at the 62 or the 79% level, which it's not doing. So I don't really see that as a likely one that would work. I mean, it might, but if I was trading myself, I'd want to see the structure form so that the left shoulder was opposite the 62 or the 79% level. And at the moment, this left shoulder here is opposite the 38% level. So to me, I get what you're saying, but I don't think it's a very high probability one. Might work for you, but usually the left shoulder is more at the 62 to 79% level. All right. Okay. All right, let's get into dollar Canadian. Now, the dollar Canadian is a lot more bullish, changing its trend to the upside on the day chart, way ahead of all the other pairs to the US dollar, potentially changing their trend to down. We've seen a very nice hold at support here on the weekly chart for this to move back up. And it's been putting in now higher tops and bottoms on the daily here. It's putting in another potentially higher bottom here. The area that I was discussing last week, Tuesday, Thursday, that 4-hour level, this 34.13, it's approximately the 3400 level. See how it was called getting false broke through here to hold. And as well, in this week, there's the lower last week, there's the high of last week. We've been, wanting to start to get support underneath the 79% level, but ultimately it's a 79% kind of trade of the range of last week to trade up. So what we're seeing is a continued trend now. This isn't the most perfect spot just to jump in and buy. But back to the daily at the moment, we're most definitely seeing higher tops and bottoms form here. So I would say, on the 4-hour chart at the moment, you'd be wanting hopefully to buy a dip. Draw the fib across the range of the 4-hour chart and keep moving up if price keeps moving up, and look for a 62.79% pullback. The trend is quite clearly up there on the weekly and the daily, heading back up to challenge these resistance levels up here. All right, I think that's a daily level. Let's have to double check. Like 37.15 is a weekly level here. 37.92 is a monthly level, and 38.50 is another weekly level. So all that resistance where we failed at before, that's where we're heading towards. So, look to buy a dip on the 4-hour. Assume it's going to give you a dip. We've got an interest rate statement tomorrow. So, trying to construct something on that pair at the moment, trying to buy a dip. You might get a dip after the interest rate decision, or it might just blow north and never gives you a dip. So it's always great to be buying a dip. This was really where you should have been trying to instigate your trade along this area of support where the market was holding, but you can't go back in time. All right, dollar yen. Now, I did this in the Telegram today. This is the area I was watching. Hasn't quite got to touch the exact area. And to the day, or to the weekly, with the 79% level, are we holding there to move back up? Not too dissimilar to what's showing on the dollar index, where we're at the 79% level. All right. So to your daily trend, whilst the weekly trend is up, the day trend hasn't turned up yet from this pullback to the 79. So we could still move down. This day trend could hold to move down, and it is moving back up to your clear level of resistance at 137.49. And earlier in the day I showed this range. It's last week's range. We've had pretty much a 62% retracement. We're just fractionally short of 62. I can get it drawn in properly. We've been a fraction short of the 62 and the daily resistance level, which is the monthly low that we've moved below. All right, so that level holding, seeing price break down, just means we could be potentially moving down to test last week's low. But if we move above 137.49, that to me would start to maybe confirm that on the weekly chart, we are bottoming out here at the 79% level. All right, so what side of the fence are you on? If we are seeing the US dollar move up, we're probably going to see the dollar yen move up, aren't we? So the dollar index and the dollar yen are showing quite similar price structures. So the 79% retracement of the range that I've been drawing in on both instruments. So if we do start to close on the 4-hour chart above 137.49 and then start to, your 50-minute chart, at the moment we're in fractions short and we've broken down. All right, it's okay to come up for another test. But what we don't want to see, what we want to see is price comes up for a test and potentially you can draw in a very tight trend line, trade the sell. You want a tight entry up here because we could break through this level. So if you can get a tight entry, you can get your risk out. And then if you are wrong, you don't lose any money, because if price action starts to, break above 137.49 and we start to see, this kind of price action here where it's sitting on top, so that line there, if we start to see price action that looks like this, price gets above your level of resistance and starts to sit on top of it for a while like this, there's every chance then that we are moving higher. So watch that level. If you're on the sell side of the market at the moment, you want to see that get hit and be able to conjure up a tight entry where you can get the risk out quick, because price may only just bounce off that level to the figure and want to have then a move up and through. So, when I'm trading a level where it's like it has to hold to keep the trend, because if we move above, then potentially we could be then seeing the weekly uptrend reform. I want a tight entry so I can get my risk out quick. I mean, there's still every chance that we can fail here to move down, but there's the other side of the coin at the moment. The weekly trend is up, pull back to the 79% level, looks exactly like the dollar index. We could be moving higher. As well, if this moves higher, if this clearly starts to deal above 137.49, wants to hold, then this euro yen is very similar up here. The level I was showing on the euro yen, which is the monthly resistance and the 144.09, 79% fib. If that dollar yen breaks above its resistance level, this is probably moving above there. All right, so don't trade one in isolation of the other. Okay, at the moment, both are falling a fraction short, so maybe we are trading down for the week, but for sure, if that dollar yen breaks above, this will break above, I'm sure. Because Cameron, you're still on there when we were talking last night. We're talking about, I'm talking about possible failure up here at the daily level of resistance. But when we were watching this last night, we were discussing the 4-hour entry strategy. And the 4-hour entry was in here. I know we were discussing mentally for yourself the difficulty of holding that trade. But you can clearly see there, just holding that trade. If you took that 4-hour entry down there, at the moment the 4-hour structure is up. Of course, we're headbutting into daily resistance, but on the other side of the market, if you took this trade here for the higher bottom forming at that weekly 79% retracement level where you could get a failure to the upside, you'd want to be holding this to the long side at the moment, hoping this level is going to break to the upside. All right, so there's always two ways of trading the market. Yesterday, you could have traded long down here, and you could be wanting this level to break to the upside. Of course, you could be on the sell side, and you could be looking now for the opportunity to trade down from this level downwards. But moving above that level is not good for the sellers. All right. All right, let's have a look at gold before we wrap up. This is my last week's drawings. All right, so on the weekly chart, we have an uptrend formed. Put in a high bottom here. We don't like this area of resistance at the moment. And we could be forming a double top. We talked about a double top possibly on the pound dollar, on the New Zealand dollar. Well, there is the possibility of a double top there. It does not like that top at the moment. Daily, trend is still up on the day. So, to the 4-hour, it is getting some form of support before there. This area where we broke out. So what is happening is we're pulling back at the moment. Obviously, we're false breaking this weekly area, and we're filling. There's we formed a bit of an imbalance area there. We filled some of it. There's that's the last kind of part of it there. All right, so maybe we don't want to fill it all. We are starting to form a little bit of a 4-hour base there on top of that area that we broke above last week. So maybe that is where the buyers are getting ready to push it up. All right. So if you are to the buy side, you do not want to see price move below this level. Okay. And if you're to the sell side, of course, this would be a great area to watch here. 1786, weekly resistance there. In fact, let me put, there's another, we're obviously false breaking that area, but there's that top up there. Let's just put that in. 1807. So to the, looking for a short, forgetting this little consolidation area here, it's not actually too different from what we were just discussing before on the New Zealand dollar, in that, we could see a 7% retracement after that failure of last week's high in the weekly resistance level. See that little kind of left shoulder area there, little head on top. We could get all the way up there. That would definitely be a great area to look for weakness and a turnaround. So it depends on what side of the market you're seeing now. Clearly the weekly trend is up, but it's clearly failing at resistance at the top. So is that failure going to be a long-term change? It doesn't have to be a long-term change as long as you can trade the failure and get the risk out of your trade and then see what happens. All right, so. And Slope saying 7% fib coincides with the figure. Well, yeah, it's the 1800 level too. So yeah, up there would most definitely look. Let's drop to the 1 hour chart. You've got all this imbalance to fill at the moment. There's a 1 hour imbalance started, bit of an imbalance in there still. That all needs to get filled. Smallest part of the imbalance is up there. All right, so revisiting the 1800 level, that's 7% fib up to the 4 hour weekly top of last week up there. That top is at 1804. That would be a good level to start to look for weakness for sure. All right, any final questions? So, the big question is the US dollar bottoming? Are the pairs to the US dollar going to top? All right, there's still structural uptrends. There are most definitely levels of support that you can be monitoring to move back up still. Pound dollar does not want to get down to 121.55. All right, this looks like support to me at the moment. Down here. What's the euro dollar doing? Not doing much, just chopping around it, but it is hanging on day support here at the moment. Live news items tonight is the item to watch too. I don't think there are any news items tonight of any notable. Next news item is tomorrow morning at 10:30 for the Aussie. So there's nothing really to drive things. And Olif may ask me, please do a webinar on Fibonacci retracement and expansion. I'm doing Fibonacci next week, I think. So let me go to my webinar page. So tomorrow I'm going to do a review of the market of last month. What patterns could I see that you could have traded? Structure that you could have traded. Thursday, more live market analysis. Next week, I'm going to go next Wednesday, I'm doing the Fibonacci tool. So I'll be talking about Fibonacci retracements and extensions. All right. So that should address your request there next week. And then the Wednesday after that, leading into Christmas, I'm going to go through MACD and MACD divergence. All right. Slavia is saying, oh, it's on Saturday. Then no, it's not on Saturday. Today's the 6th. Wednesday, tomorrow's the 7th. That's 8th is Thursday. 13th is next Tuesday. 14th Fibonacci is next Wednesday. So no, there's no Saturdays there. They're all those webinars have come across on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays there. There's no Saturday webinar there. Also, are you talking about webinars there, Slav, or are you talking about the news? There is a news item on Saturday, 1 o'clock in the morning for prelim UOM for the US. There's also late Friday for my time, which will be Saturday for you, 12:30 for you, US core PPI data. I think that's what you're talking about, not the webinars, all right? Yeah, so those are the bigger US news events coming out for the week. So we do have Canadian interest rate decision. Other than that, there's nothing really to drive the market. So we could end up with a bit of a, like we're seeing at the moment on the pound or the euro dollar here is flat, sitting on day support. Pound dollar's relatively flat, a little bit ahead of what is weekly support at 121.55 and last month's high. All right, so price might get a little bit range bound because nothing major is driving the market at the moment. We could all be waiting, the market could clearly be waiting for Friday, late Friday, early Saturday morning news. All right, but you never know. We definitely had a heavy sell-off yesterday. Now, after the drop of non-farm payroll moving up to fresh highs, we had a very heavy sell-off through New York into the close. So maybe we'll break down through New York. We shall see. All right, everybody, thanks very much for attending. Hopefully you got some good levels. You've got some trend determination there that you can use with your strategies. Still, at the moment, US dollar is still not changing its trend quite back to the upside. So look for a clear trend change before you maybe start to short that US, before you start shorting pairs to the US dollar. All right, everybody, thanks very much. Look forward to seeing you next time. Harash, thank you. See your hand up there. Good night to you.